Hey there. Tonight, we journey to a different time and a different world. We leave behind the familiar histories of kings and empires, of cowboys and gunslingers, and we travel back to a quiet, sun-baked canyon in the American Southwest, nearly 1,000 years ago. We are going to live for a time within a Native American clan, among the people often called the ancestral Puebloans. Forget the romantic or simplistic images of a primitive life. We are stepping into a civilization that was deeply complex, profoundly spiritual, and ingeniously adapted to one of the harshest and most beautiful landscapes on Earth. This is not a story of great wars or dramatic conquests. It is a story of the quiet, rhythmic, and deeply meaningful tasks that made up a life. It's about the feel of cool clay being shaped by your hands, the sound of corn being ground on a stone metate, the taste of beans and squash cooked over a pinyon fire, and the sight of 1,000,000 stars in a sky untouched by modern light. It's about understanding a world where the sacred and the mundane were not separate things, but were woven together into a single, intricate tapestry of existence. If this kind of slow, detailed, and contemplative history helps you to quiet your mind and find a measure of peace, I would be grateful if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel, but only if these stories genuinely bring you some rest. And as always, I love to see our community of listeners. Please, feel free to leave a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is in your part of the world. There's a unique comfort in knowing we are all settling in together. So, dim your lights. Turn on a fan for that soft, ambient hum if you find it soothing. Get comfortable, and let's step through a doorway in time, into the heart of a canyon, and into a life that was governed by the sun, the seasons, and the spirits of the earth. Part 1. The long, cold sleep winter. The world begins not with light, but with a deep and profound cold. It is the high desert winter, and the air in your small stone room is thin and sharp. You are curled on a woven mat of yucca fibers, under a thick blanket made of rabbit fur and turkey feathers spun into a warm, heavy textile. You are not alone. You are surrounded by the soft, rhythmic breathing of your family, your parents, your siblings, perhaps a grandparent, all sharing this small, dark space for warmth and for company. You wake slowly, not to an alarm, but to an internal clock that is tuned to the subtle shifts of the cosmos. The darkness is not complete. A faint, red glow emanates from the corner of the room, where the embers of last night's fire pulse softly in a small, clay-lined hearth. The air is thick with the familiar, comforting smell of pinyon and juniper smoke, a scent that is soaked into the very stones of your home, into your clothes, into your hair. It is the perfume of your world. Your home is not a solitary shack on the open prairie. It is a room, one of hundreds, nestled within a great stone village, a pueblo that rises like a natural extension of the canyon cliff face. Your room is on the second story. To get outside, you will climb a sturdy wooden ladder through a hole in the ceiling, onto the rooftop of the room below. The rooftops of your neighbors are your streets, your plazas, your world. You can hear the faint, muffled sounds of the village waking around you, the soft murmur of voices from the room next door, the distant sound of a dog barking, the gentle scraping sound of your mother, already awake, beginning the first and most important task of the day, grinding the corn. This sound is the heartbeat of your world. It is the sound of survival. It is the sound of turning the hard, dried kernels of last year's harvest into the flour that will feed your family for another day. You lie still for a moment, wrapped in the warmth of your blanket, listening. The winter is the long sleep, a time when the earth is dormant, when the days are short, and when your people turn inward. It is a time for storytelling, for ceremony, for reinforcing the bonds of family and clan. It is a time of quiet, of patience, of waiting for the sun to return. But it is also a time of anxiety. You are living on the food you stored away during the harvest. The storerooms, deep within the pueblo, are filled with pots of dried corn, beans, and squash. But the winter is long, and the stores are finite. Every meal you eat is a small subtraction from your hope for the future. You push back your heavy blanket. The cold air hits your skin. It is a shock, a reminder that survival in this high, cold desert is a daily negotiation with the forces of nature. You rise, your movements quiet so as not to disturb the others, and you begin your day. Not with a rush, not with a sense of urgency, but with the slow, deliberate, and mindful pace of a people who have learned to live in harmony with the long, slow rhythms of the earth. Before the sun has even touched the rim of the canyon, you and the other men of your clan make your way to a special place. It is the spiritual heart of your community. It is the kiva. From the surface, it looks like nothing more than a large, circular hole in the ground, covered with a flat roof of logs and mud. You descend into it by a ladder, through a narrow opening in the roof. As you climb down, you are leaving the ordinary world behind. You are entering a sacred space, a microcosm of the universe. The inside of the kiva is a round, subterranean room. The air is cool and smells of smoke, of earth, of something ancient and holy. A small fire burns in a central, stone-lined hearth, its smoke rising through the same opening you just entered. A low stone bench runs around the entire circumference of the room, and you take your place on it alongside your father, your uncles, your brothers. The architecture of the kiva is a map of your people's cosmology. The circular shape represents the horizon, the boundary of the world. The flat roof is the sky, the floor is the earth. And in the floor, there is a small symbolic hole called a sipapu. This is the most sacred place in the kiva. It is the navel of the earth, the place where your ancestors first emerged from the underworld into this, the fourth world. It is a direct, physical link between your present life and the mythical origins of your people. In the dim, flickering light of the fire, an elder begins to speak. His voice is low, rhythmic, and mesmerizing. He is not just talking, he is weaving a story. He is telling the great epic of your people, the story of the creation, of the journey through the previous worlds, of the emergence into this world. He speaks of the first people who lived in a dark, underground world. He speaks of the twin gods who led them on a great journey, up through the different levels of the cosmos. He speaks of the challenges they faced, the monsters they fought, the lessons they learned. You have heard these stories 100 times before. You know them by heart, but you listen with a deep, focused attention, because these are not just stories. They are your history, your religion, your identity. They explain who you are, where you came from, and how you are meant to live. They are the invisible architecture that holds your society together. The elder tells of the sacred compact your people made with the spirits of the earth, the kachinas. The spirits agreed to bring the rain, to ensure the fertility of the crops, if your people, in turn, would live in harmony, would perform the correct ceremonies, and would honor them with dances and with prayer. Your entire existence is based on this sacred, reciprocal relationship. He speaks of the importance of community, of cooperation. He reminds you that no single person can survive alone in this harsh land. You must work together. You must share your food. You must support each other. The well-being of the clan is more important than the well-being of any individual. The kiva is a classroom, a church, a council chamber, and a men's club, all in one. It is here that the sacred knowledge is passed down from one generation to the next. It is here that disputes are settled. It is here that the plans for the coming year are made. It is here that the boys are initiated into the responsibilities of manhood. You sit in the warm, smoky darkness, surrounded by the men of your clan. You listen to the ancient words. You feel the deep, resonant power of the stories. You feel a profound sense of belonging, of connection. You are a single thread in a great, intricate tapestry that stretches back to the beginning of time. When the stories are over, you climb the ladder back out into the world. The sun is now rising, casting a brilliant, golden light on the opposite canyon wall. The air is still cold, but you feel a warmth inside you. You have been reminded of who you are. You have been reconnected to the sacred heart of your world, and you are ready to face the day. The winter is a time of rest for the land, but not for you. While the fields lie dormant under a thin blanket of snow, the life inside the pueblo is a constant, quiet hum of activity. The winter is the season of making, of mending, of preparing for the year to come. Your days are structured around a series of essential, repetitive, and often grueling tasks. The most important of these is the grinding of the corn. This is women's work. Your mother, your sisters, your wife, they will spend 4 to 6 hours every single day kneeling before the metate, a large trough-shaped stone. They take the hard, dried kernels of corn and, using a smaller, hand-held stone called a mano, they grind them into flour. It is a slow, laborious process. The rhythmic, scraping sound of stone on stone is the ever-present background music of your winter life. The work is physically demanding. It requires great strength in the arms, the shoulders, and the back. Over time, it will wear down the women's bodies, leaving them with arthritis and chronic pain. But it is essential. Every meal you eat is dependent on this daily transformation of hard, inedible kernels into the life-sustaining flour for your bread and your stews. While the women are grinding, the men are engaged in their own forms of winter work. You might be a weaver. You sit in the corner of your warm, sunlit room, working at a large, vertical loom. You are weaving cotton, which your people have been cultivating for centuries, into blankets, into shirts, into sashes. The cotton is a precious commodity, often used for ceremonial garments. The patterns you weave are not just decorative, they are symbolic, telling stories of your clan, of the spirits, of the cosmos. Or you might be a tool maker. You sit with a group of other men, chipping away at pieces of flint, chert, or obsidian to create the sharp, deadly points for your arrows and your spears. It is a skill of immense precision. One wrong strike, and the delicate point will shatter. You also fashion axe heads from harder stones, grinding them for hours against sandstone to create a sharp, durable edge. You make the wooden handles for these tools from strong, flexible wood like ash or hickory. Perhaps your skill is in making sandals. You take the tough, fibrous leaves of the yucca plant. You chew on the ends to soften them. Then you pound them with a rock to separate the fibers. You then weave these fibers into sturdy, comfortable, and incredibly durable sandals. A good pair of yucca sandals can last for hundreds of miles of walking over the rough, rocky terrain of the Southwest. Winter is also the time for making pottery. Your people are master potters. The women will gather a special kind of clay from a secret location known only to your clan. They will mix it with water and a temper, like sand or crushed rock, to give it strength. They do not use a potter's wheel. They build their pots by hand, using a technique of coiling and scraping. They create beautiful, symmetrical vessels jars for storing water, bowls for eating, large pots for cooking. The decoration of the pottery is a high art form. They create a black paint from the boiled down juice of the bee plant. They use a brush made from the tip of a yucca leaf, chewed to a fine point, to paint intricate geometric designs on the white surface of the pots. These designs are a complex symbolic language, a visual representation of their worldview. The firing of the pots is a tense and risky affair. The pots are carefully stacked, covered with fuel, and fired in an open pit. If the temperature is not right, if a cold wind hits them at the wrong moment, the pots will crack, and weeks of work will be lost. And underlying all of this work, there is storytelling. Winter is the season of the story. In the long, dark evenings, your family will gather around the fire. An elder, a grandparent, will tell the old stories, the stories of the creation, of the trickster coyote, of the great migrations of your ancestors. These stories are your library, your school, your entertainment. They are how you learn your history, your values, your place in the world. This is the work of winter. It is a time of quiet, focused, and deeply creative labor. You are not just passing the time. You are weaving the very fabric of your culture. You are grinding the corn that will sustain your bodies. You are making the tools that will allow you to work the land. And you are telling the stories that will feed your souls. You are preparing, in 100 small, essential ways, for the return of the sun and the renewal of the world. The winter wears on, the days are short and cold, the snow lies deep in the canyon, and a new presence begins to make itself felt in the village. It is a quiet, gnawing anxiety. It is the fear of hunger. The late winter, the time of the hunger moon, is the most dangerous season of the year. The game is scarce. The plants are dormant. Your survival depends entirely on the food that you managed to grow and store during the previous year. Your wealth is not measured in gold or in land. It is measured in the contents of your storeroom. Deep within the cool, dark, multi-storied structure of your pueblo are the rooms where you keep your food. They are small, windowless rooms, sealed with stone slabs to keep out the rodents and the insects. Inside these rooms, a treasure is stored. There are large, beautifully crafted pottery jars filled to the brim with dried corn kernels, blue, red, white, and yellow. There are sacks made of woven yucca fiber, filled with dried pinto beans, kidney beans, and tepary beans. There are long strings of dried squash and chili peppers hanging from the ceiling. There are cakes of dried berries and nuts. This is the accumulated wealth of a year of hard labor, of careful planning, of a deep and intimate knowledge of the land. But every day, you must make a withdrawal from this bank of survival. Your wife will go to the storeroom and return with a small portion of corn, a handful of beans. And every day, the level in the great pottery jars drops a little lower. You begin to ration. The meals become a little smaller. The corn stew is a little thinner. The bread is a little less substantial. You do not speak of it, but everyone is aware of the slow, inexorable emptying of the storerooms. This is a time of great community discipline. The food is shared according to a strict and ancient system of social obligation. The elders and the children are cared for first. No family is allowed to starve while another has food. The survival of the clan as a whole is paramount. But the anxiety is always there, a low, constant hum beneath the surface of daily life. You watch the sky, looking for the signs of spring. You watch the sun, tracking its slow journey north along the horizon. You pray for an early spring, for a quick end to the long, cold hunger of winter. You have seen what happens when the stores run out before the spring arrives. You have seen the starving times. You have seen the faces of your people become thin and gaunt. You have seen the listlessness in the eyes of the children. You have seen the quiet, desperate dignity of a people facing annihilation. The stories of the elders are full of tales of these times. They tell of past famines, of great droughts that lasted for years. They tell of the hard choices that had to be made, of the villages that had to be abandoned, of the long, desperate migrations in search of new lands, of new sources of water. These stories are not just history. They are cautionary tales. They are a reminder of the fragility of your existence, of the thin line that separates your orderly, civilized life from the chaos of starvation. So you live through the hunger moon with a kind of quiet, patient fortitude. You eat your small meals. You perform your winter tasks. You listen to the stories. And you watch the level of the corn in the great jars drop, day by day, kernel by kernel. You are engaged in a long, slow, and silent battle against time, against the cold, against the fundamental scarcity of your world. And your only weapons are your foresight, your discipline, and your profound and deeply ingrained belief in the strength of your community. You will survive this, as your ancestors survived it before you. You will survive it together. Part 2. The green. Shooting time. Spring. The first sign of spring is not the melting of the snow or the budding of the trees. It is a subtle shift in the light. And there is one person in your clan whose job it is to watch for this shift, to read the language of the sun. He is the Sun Watcher. He is an elder, a man of great knowledge and spiritual power. His observatory is not a grand building with a telescope. It is a specific spot on the horizon, a notch between two mesas, a particular rock formation. Every single morning, from the same sacred spot, he watches the sun rise. He is not just watching the sunrise. He is tracking its position. He knows that the sun does not rise in the same place every day. It moves along the horizon in a slow, predictable, and sacred cycle. It reaches its southernmost point at the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. It reaches its northernmost point at the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. He has marked these positions with stones, with notches cut into the rock. This is your calendar. It is a calendar written not on paper, but on the landscape itself. The Sun Watcher's job is of supreme importance. He is the keeper of the community's time. He determines the dates for the great ceremonies, the religious rituals that must be performed at specific times of the year to keep the world in balance. And most importantly, he determines the time for planting. If you plant too early, a late frost can kill your young, vulnerable seedlings. If you plant too late, your crops may not have enough time to mature before the first frost of the fall. The timing must be perfect. The survival of your entire clan depends on the Sun Watcher's precise and unerring observations. As the days grow longer, as the sun moves steadily northward along the horizon, a sense of anticipation begins to build in the village. The hunger moon is over. The storerooms are nearly empty. The time for planting is approaching. The Sun Watcher becomes the most important man in the pueblo. Every morning, the leaders of the different clans will go to him. They will ask him, "Is it time?" And every morning, he will shake his head. Not yet. The sun has not yet reached the sacred place. You watch the sun with a new awareness. You see its slow, majestic journey. You feel its growing strength. The days are getting warmer. The earth is beginning to thaw. The world is waking from its long winter sleep. And then, one morning, the Sun Watcher makes his announcement. The sun has risen in its appointed place. It has touched the sacred peak. The time is right. The earth is ready. The announcement sends a ripple of excitement and activity through the village. The time for waiting is over. The time for work has begun. The great, communal, and sacred task of planting is at hand. Thanks to the patient, watchful wisdom of the Sun Watcher, you will not be planting according to a guess or a hope. You will be planting according to a celestial schedule, a sacred timetable that has been observed and honored by your people for 1,000 years. You are about to engage in a partnership with the sun, with the earth, and with the spirits. And the Sun Watcher has told you that they are ready for you. The day of planting is not like any other day. It is a sacred occasion, a time of ceremony, of prayer, of a deep communal focus. You are not just putting seeds in the ground. You are participating in the great, cyclical miracle of creation. The entire clan, men, women, and children, walks together from the pueblo to the fields. The fields are not the vast, uniform squares of a modern farm. They are small, irregular plots of land, nestled in the bottom of the canyon or on the tops of the mesas, wherever the soil is good and there is a chance of finding water. The work is done by hand. You do not have plows or draft animals. Your primary tool is the digging stick, a simple but effective implement made of fire-hardened wood. Before the planting begins, a ceremony is performed. An elder will offer a prayer to the Earth Mother, to the Sun Father, and to the Kachina spirits who bring the rain. He will bless the seeds, which have been carefully saved from last year's harvest. He will sprinkle sacred cornmeal on the ground, a gift to the earth, an invitation for it to be fertile and receptive. Then the work begins. You work together in long, organized lines. The men use their digging sticks to create small holes in the earth. The women follow behind, dropping the precious seeds into the holes. The children come after them, covering the seeds with a gentle push of their bare feet. You are not planting just one crop. You are planting a holy trinity of plants that sustain your people. They are known as the three sisters: corn, beans, and squash. These three plants are not just your primary sources of food, they are a perfect, symbiotic team. You plant them together in the same mound. The corn is planted first. It provides a tall, sturdy stalk for the beans to climb. The beans, in turn, are nitrogen fixers. They take nitrogen from the air and convert it into a nutrient in the soil that the corn desperately needs. And the squash, planted around the base of the corn and the beans, has large, broad leaves that spread out over the ground, creating a living mulch that shades the soil, keeps it cool and moist, and prevents the growth of weeds. This is a system of agriculture that is thousands of years old, a work of ecological genius, a perfect model of cooperation and mutual support. The three sisters are not just plants. They are a metaphor for your own society. Like the corn, the beans, and the squash, you must work together, support each other, and create a community that is stronger and more resilient than any individual. You work all day under the spring sun. The work is hard, but it is not drudgery. It is joyful. There is singing, there is laughter. You are working together with a shared purpose, participating in a ritual that is both ancient and essential. You are not just planting food. You are planting hope. You are placing your trust, your future, your survival into the warm, dark earth. You are asking the earth to give you life. At the end of the day, the fields are planted. You walk back to the pueblo, your body tired, your hands dirty, but your heart full. You have completed the sacred task. You have done your part. Now you must wait. You must watch. You must hope. You must pray for the one thing that you cannot control, the one thing that only the spirits can provide, the rain. The seeds are in the earth, and your fate is in the hands of the sky. You live in a world of profound and terrifying dryness. The Southwest is a land of little rain. The sun is a constant, powerful presence, baking the earth, sucking the moisture from the soil. In this arid landscape, water is not just a resource. It is life itself. It is the single, limiting factor that governs everything. Where there is water, there is life. Where there is not, there is only rock and dust and death. Your people are not farmers in the way that the people of the green wetlands back east are farmers. They are not blessed with abundant rainfall. They must be masters of a different kind of agriculture, dry farming, and they must be brilliant hydraulic engineers. Your survival depends on your ability to find, to capture, to control, and to conserve every single precious drop of water. The location of your pueblo is not an accident. It is likely situated near a spring, a seep, or a small seasonal river. But these sources are not enough. You must supplement them with the rain when it comes. The summer rains in the Southwest do not come as gentle, soaking showers. They come in violent, short-lived thunderstorms. A huge amount of rain can fall in a very short period of time. Most of this water will run off the hard, baked earth, forming flash floods that roar down the canyons, causing erosion and destruction. Your job is to capture this water before it escapes. You and your clan have built an ingenious and complex system of water control features throughout the landscape. You have built hundreds of small check dams in the arroyos, the dry stream beds that crisscross the canyon. These are small walls of rock built by hand. When a flash flood comes, these dams slow the water down, allowing it to soak into the earth and preventing it from washing away the precious topsoil. The silt that builds up behind these dams creates small, fertile patches of land where you can plant your crops. You have built long, intricate irrigation canals, some of them stretching for miles. These are shallow ditches lined with stone that divert water from a permanent stream or a spring to your fields. The engineering required to create these canals, to ensure a steady, gentle, gravity-fed flow of water, is astonishing. You have learned to use the landscape itself as a tool. You will plant your fields at the base of a large slick rock formation. When it rains, the rock acts as a natural watershed, funneling a huge amount of water directly to your crops. You practice a form of rock mulching. You cover your fields with a layer of small, flat stones. This seems counterintuitive, but the stones act as a mulch, shading the soil, preventing evaporation, and keeping the ground cool and moist. The work of maintaining this water control system is endless. You are constantly repairing the dams, cleaning out the irrigation ditches, reinforcing the canal walls. It is a constant, communal effort. The entire clan works together to manage this precious, life-giving resource. Water rights are a complex and carefully negotiated issue. There are strict, ancient rules about who can take water from the canal, when they can take it, and how much they can take. A dispute over water is one of the most serious conflicts that can arise in your community. Every drop is sacred. You do not waste it. The water you use for washing is collected and used to water your garden. The pottery you make is designed to store water for long periods with minimal evaporation. You have a deep, intimate, and reverent relationship with water. It is a living entity, a spirit, a gift from the gods. Your ceremonies, your prayers, your songs, they are all, in some way, about water. You dance for rain. You pray for rain. You live in a constant state of supplication to the clouds. When the rains finally come, it is a time of great joy and celebration. You will stand outside your home, letting the cool, clean water wash over you, a feeling of profound gratitude in your heart. You are a desert people. You have learned to live in a world of scarcity. You have learned to be ingenious, to be patient, to be cooperative. You have built a civilization on a foundation of carefully managed and deeply respected water. Your canals and your dams are not just feats of engineering. They are monuments to your resilience, your intelligence, and your profound understanding of the sacred, fragile balance of your world. Part 3. The Long Sun, Summer. The sun is no longer the gentle, returning friend of spring. It is now a tyrant. The summer sun in the high desert is a relentless, punishing force. The sky is a vast, cloudless, and unforgiving expanse of brassy blue. The heat radiates up from the baked earth, creating shimmering waves that distort the air. And your days are spent working directly under its gaze. The corn you planted in the spring is now knee-high, a fragile and precious patch of green in a world of brown and red rock. Your life, and the life of your clan, is now dedicated to a single, anxious task, keeping it alive until the summer monsoon rains arrive. Your workday begins at dawn, before the sun has had a chance to assert its full power. You walk from the cool, shadowy pueblo to the fields. The air is still and cool, but you know it will not last. The work of summer is not the communal, joyful labor of planting. It is a slow, patient, and often solitary war of attrition. Your primary enemy is the weeds. They are tough, tenacious desert plants, perfectly adapted to this harsh environment. They compete with your precious corn for the scarce moisture in the soil. You must pull them, one, by hand. You spend hours on your knees, your back bent under the rising sun, your fingers digging into the hard, dry earth. The work is monotonous, repetitive, and painful. Your back aches. Your knees are sore. Your hands become raw and chapped. Your other great enemy is thirst, the thirst of your plants and your own. You have your ingenious water control systems, your check dams, and your canals. But they are only effective if there is water to control. In the dry weeks before the monsoon, the streams can shrink to a trickle. The springs can run dry. You might have to carry water to the fields in large, heavy pottery jars on your back. It is a grueling task. You pour a small, carefully measured amount of water at the base of each cornstalk, a precious offering, a whispered prayer for life. You are also constantly guarding your fields against pests. Rabbits and deer will try to nibble at the young, tender shoots. Crows and other birds will try to steal the developing kernels. You and your children will spend hours in the fields, acting as human scarecrows, shouting and waving your arms to frighten away the hungry creatures. The sun climbs to its zenith. The heat is now a physical blow. There is no shade. You pull your woven hat low over your eyes. You move slowly, deliberately, conserving your energy. You learn to work with a kind of meditative focus, to lose yourself in the simple, repetitive rhythm of the work. You are not just a farmer. You are a guardian, a nursemaid to your crops. You have a deep, personal relationship with each plant. You know which ones are strong, which ones are struggling. You talk to them. You sing to them. You encourage them to grow, to endure. You believe that your own spirit, your own will to survive, can be transferred to them. In the late afternoon, as the sun begins to lose a fraction of its power, you return to the pueblo. You are covered in a fine layer of red dust. You are dehydrated. Your body is a single throbbing ache. You will spend the evening in the cool, shaded plaza of your village, repairing your tools, talking quietly with your neighbors, watching the children play. You will eat your simple meal of corn and beans. And you will watch the western sky, looking for the first hint of the clouds that will bring the life-giving rain. This is your summer. It is a long, hot, anxious vigil. It is a test of your patience, your endurance, your faith. You are a farmer in a land that does not want to be farmed. And your survival depends on your ability to work, to wait, and to keep your fragile green hopes alive under a merciless, brassy sky. Your world can feel very small. It is the canyon, the mesa, the familiar horizon. But you are not as isolated as you might think. Your people are part of a vast, ancient network of trade and communication that stretches for thousands of miles, connecting you to other peoples, other cultures, other worlds. One hot summer afternoon, a cry goes up in the pueblo. A lookout, perched high on the canyon rim, has spotted them. A trading party is approaching. This is a major event, a source of great excitement and curiosity. The entire village gathers on the rooftops to watch the strangers arrive. They are not like you. They have come from a great distance. Perhaps they are from the south, from the land of the hot country, what is now Mexico. Perhaps they are from the west, from the land that borders the great, salty ocean. They have been walking for weeks, for months, following the ancient trade routes that are like invisible threads stitching the continent together. They are led into the main plaza of your pueblo. They are given water, food. The leaders of your clan meet with the leaders of the trading party. There is a formal, ritualized exchange of greetings. And then they open their packs, and the contents are a source of wonder. They have things that you have never seen, things that come from a world you can only imagine. They have brilliant, iridescent seashells from the distant Pacific Ocean, shells that you will grind into beads and inlay into beautiful jewelry. They have the bright, impossibly colored feathers of macaws and parrots, birds that do not live in your high, dry land. These feathers are incredibly valuable, used to create the most sacred and powerful ceremonial regalia. They might have small copper bells, their tinkling sound a new and exotic music. They might have obsidian, a black volcanic glass that can be chipped to an edge far sharper than any of your local stones, perfect for making ceremonial knives. What do you have to offer in return? You have your own treasures. You have the beautiful black-on-white pottery that your people are famous for, vessels that are prized for their artistry and their utility. You have fine, woven cotton blankets. You have cakes of salt, gathered from a sacred salt lake a few days' journey from your home. And you have turquoise, the blue-green stone that is sacred to your people. It is a piece of the sky, a fragment of the river, a symbol of life and beauty. Your area has some of the richest turquoise mines in the entire Southwest. This is your most valuable export. The trading begins. It is not a simple, silent transaction. It is a long, social process. It involves hours of negotiation, of haggling, of storytelling. You do not use money. You trade goods for goods. How many pots for one macaw feather? How many turquoise beads for one copper bell? The trading is also an exchange of information. The travelers bring news from the outside world. They tell of other peoples, of different customs, of distant wars and alliances. They bring new stories, new songs, new ideas. They are a window into a larger world. You watch them with fascination. They look different. They speak a different language, which you understand only through the gestures of a few multilingual traders in your clan. They have a different feel, a different spirit. The presence of these traders is a reminder that you are not alone. You are part of a great, sprawling, interconnected human landscape. The shell on your necklace may have begun its journey 1,000 miles away, on a distant beach. The feather in a ceremonial dancer's headdress may have come from a bird that lived in a jungle you cannot even imagine. After a few days, the trading is done. The strangers pack up their new goods. They say their formal farewells. And they walk away, back into the vast, empty landscape, continuing on their long journey. You are left with your new treasures, the shell that smells of the sea, the feather that flashes with an impossible color. They are more than just objects. They are tangible links to a world beyond your canyon. They are proof that your small, isolated village is a part of something much, much larger, and they have made your world, for a brief time, feel a little less lonely. In your world, there is no separation between art and life, between beauty and function. The most ordinary objects are created with a care, a skill, and a spiritual intention that transforms them into works of art. And there is no greater example of this than the pottery that you and your people create. The life of a pot begins not in your hands, but with a journey. It is the women who are the potters, and they must first gather the clay. The location of a good clay source is a secret, a piece of knowledge passed down from mother to daughter. It might be a small hidden seam at the base of a cliff, miles from your pueblo. The journey to the clay source is a pilgrimage. Prayers are offered. You ask the earth for permission to take a part of her body. You gather the clay with reverence, taking only what you need. Back at the pueblo, the clay must be processed. It is dried, pounded into a powder, and then sifted to remove impurities. It is then mixed with water and a temper, a material like sand or crushed rock, or even the ground-up shards of a broken pot. The temper gives the clay strength and prevents it from cracking when it is fired. Now, the creation begins. You do not have a potter's wheel. You build your pots by hand, using a technique called coiling. You roll the clay into long snake-like coils. You begin with a small flat base, and you build the walls of the pot by stacking the coils one on top of the other, pinching them together as you go. It is a slow, meditative process. You must be patient. The walls of the pot must be of a uniform thickness. The shape must be symmetrical and balanced. Your hands become the wheel, your fingers the shaping tools. You are not just making a pot, you are coaxing a shape from the raw earth. Once the pot is formed, it is scraped smooth with a piece of gourd or a smooth stone. It is then set aside to dry slowly in a cool, dark room for several days. When the pot is leather hard, the decoration begins. This is where the utility of the object is transformed into pure, symbolic beauty. You first apply a slip, a thin coating of very fine white clay, which will give the pot its characteristic bright white background. Then you prepare your paint. The black paint is made from the Rocky Mountain bee plant. The plant is gathered, boiled for hours, until it is a thick, black, tarry substance. This is your ink. Your paintbrush is the tip of a yucca leaf. You chew on the end of it until the fibers separate, creating a fine, flexible brush. And then you paint. You do not paint pictures of people or animals. You paint intricate geometric designs. You paint fine parallel lines, zigzags, spirals, checkerboards. These are not just random decorations. They are a complex symbolic language. They represent clouds, lightning, rain, feathers, the movement of the river, the journey of the spirit. They are prayers made visible. They are a visual representation of the harmony, the balance, the order of the cosmos. Each painter has her own style, her own repertoire of designs, often passed down through her maternal line. The act of painting is a form of meditation, of prayer. It requires immense skill, a steady hand, and a deep understanding of the sacred patterns. When the painting is done, the pot is ready for the final and most dangerous stage of its life, the firing. The firing is a time of great anxiety. The pots are carefully stacked on the ground, often on a grate of stones. They are covered with fuel wood, coal, or sometimes dried cakes of manure. The fuel is lit. You have no kiln to control the temperature. You must rely on your experience, on your knowledge of the fire. If the fire gets too hot too quickly, the pots will crack. If a cold gust of wind hits the pots at the wrong moment, they will shatter. The firing is a delicate dance between heat and air. The fire burns for several hours. You watch it with a hopeful, anxious heart. You have invested weeks of work, of skill, of spirit into these pots. Their fate is now in the hands of the fire. When the fire has burned down, you must wait for the pots to cool slowly. This is the longest wait of all. Finally, you can carefully remove them from the ashes. Some of them will be broken. It is inevitable. But some of them, if you are lucky, if the spirits were pleased, will be perfect. They will ring with a high, clear, musical sound when you tap them. The white slip will be brilliant. The black designs will be sharp and permanent. You hold the finished pot in your hands. It is a thing of astonishing beauty and perfect utility. It is an object that will be used to store the water that gives you life, to cook the food that sustains you. It is a piece of the earth, transformed by your hands, your breath, your spirit, into something sacred. It is not just a pot. It is a prayer you can hold in your hands. The summer days have grown long, hot, and heavy. The corn in your fields is beginning to wilt under the relentless sun. The earth is cracked and dry. The air is thick with a dusty haze. A deep, thirsty anxiety has settled over your entire village. You have done your part. You have planted the seeds. You have tended the fields. But now you are helpless. Your survival depends on the sky. You are waiting for the monsoon. The summer monsoon is the lifeblood of the Southwest. It is a seasonal shift in the wind patterns that brings moisture up from the distant oceans, the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific. It is a season of dramatic and often violent thunderstorms. It is your only hope. You watch the sky every day. For weeks, it is the same cloudless, empty, brassy blue. And then, one afternoon, you see it, a change. A few small, puffy white clouds begin to appear on the southern horizon. A quiet, hopeful excitement begins to ripple through the pueblo. The elders nod sagely. The children point. Over the next few days, the signs become stronger. The clouds build higher and darker each afternoon. The air becomes heavy, humid, charged with a palpable sense of anticipation. You can smell the rain on the wind, a clean, earthy, and intoxicating scent, even though it is still miles away. And then the day comes. The sky to the south is a dark, bruised wall of purple and gray. The wind picks up, cool and smelling of rain. The birds fly low and erratically. The world seems to be holding its breath. A ceremony begins in the plaza. The men of the different religious societies emerge from their kivas, dressed in their sacred regalia. They are wearing elaborate masks that represent the Kachina spirits, the bringers of rain. They dance. Their movements are rhythmic, powerful, and deeply symbolic. They are not just performing a dance, they are participating in a ritual that will help to bring the rain, that will ensure the world remains in balance. As they dance, the storm approaches. You can see the distant, flickering flashes of lightning within the dark clouds. You can hear the low, deep rumble of thunder, a sound that is not threatening, but promising. And then you feel it, a single cool drop of rain on your dusty, sun-burnt skin, and then another, and another. A great, collective sigh of relief and joy goes through the crowd. The rain has come. The storm hits not with a gentle shower, but with a torrential downpour. The rain falls in solid gray sheets, hammering on the rooftops, turning the dusty plazas into muddy lakes. The sound is a deafening roar. Lightning splits the sky directly overhead, followed by an instantaneous, ground-shaking crash of thunder. You do not run for shelter. You stand in the plaza, your head tilted back, your arms outstretched. You let the rain wash over you. It is a blessing, a purification. It is washing away the dust, the heat, the anxiety of the long, dry weeks. It is washing the world clean. The rain fills the arroyos, the dry stream beds. Your check dams, the small stone walls you built with such care, do their job. They slow the rushing water, allowing it to soak deep into the earth, replenishing the groundwater. Your irrigation ditches fill, and the water begins to flow to your thirsty fields. The storm is violent, and it is short-lived. After an hour, it passes. The rain stops. The clouds begin to break apart. The sun comes out, and the wet earth steams. The world is transformed. It is vibrant, alive, and intensely green. The air is clean, and it smells of wet earth, of sagebrush, of life. You walk to the edge of the mesa, and you look out over your fields. The corn, which was wilting and brown just a few hours ago, is now standing tall, green, and refreshed. You feel a profound sense of gratitude, of relief, of a deep and abiding connection to the world around you. You have kept your side of the sacred bargain. You have performed the ceremonies. You have lived in the correct way, and the spirits, in their turn, have kept their promise. They have brought the rain. They have brought life. The long, anxious wait of the summer is over. Your crops will survive. Your family will eat. The world is in balance once again. And you stand in the warm, clean, post-storm sunlight, and you offer a quiet, heartfelt prayer of thanks to the sky, to the earth, and to the sacred, life-giving power of the water. Part 4. The time of gathering. Autumn. The brutal heat of summer has begun to soften. The days are still warm, but the nights carry a new, crisp coolness. The sun sits a little lower in the sky, and its light has turned from a harsh white glare to a rich golden honey. The land, nourished by the summer monsoons, has given forth its bounty. It is the time of harvest. This is the culmination of your entire year. Every prayer, every drop of sweat, every moment of anxious waiting has led to this. The corn in your fields is tall and heavy, the ears full and ripe. The bean pods are dry and rattling on their vines. The squash are large, hard-shelled, and scattered across the ground like great, sleeping beasts. The harvest is not a task for individuals or single families. It is a great communal effort, a joyful and urgent campaign that involves every able-bodied person in the pueblo, from the youngest child to the oldest elder. You walk to the fields together in the cool light of dawn. The air is filled with a sense of excitement and gratitude. There is singing. There is laughter. The anxiety of the planting season and the long, hot wait of the summer have been replaced by the profound relief of abundance. The work is organized and efficient, a system perfected over 1,000 years. The men move through the cornfields first. You do not use a great clattering machine. You harvest by hand. You move down the rows, snapping the ripe ears of corn from the stalks. You toss them into large, woven baskets. The motion is rhythmic, repetitive. Snap, toss, snap, toss. Your hands become sore. Your arms ache. But it is a good ache, the ache of fulfillment. The women and older children follow behind, harvesting the beans and the squash. The bean vines have withered, the pods dry and brittle. They are pulled from the corn stalks they climbed and gathered into great piles. The heavy squash are cut from their vines and loaded into baskets. The younger children have their own important jobs. They are the gleaners. They follow behind the main harvesters, searching for any ear of corn that was missed, any bean pod that was dropped. In a world of scarcity, nothing is wasted. Every single kernel is precious. The harvested crops are carried back to the pueblo in a long, continuous procession. The rooftops, which serve as the village's streets and plazas, are soon covered with a vibrant, colorful carpet of corn blue, red, white, yellow, and speckled. The sheer, visual spectacle of it is breathtaking. It is a testament to the generosity of the earth and the hard work of your people. The harvest lasts for days, for weeks. It is a time of intense, focused labor. But it is not a time of drudgery. It is a time of celebration. You work alongside your family, your neighbors, your clan. You share stories. You sing the old harvest songs. You feel a profound sense of connection to your community, a sense of shared purpose and shared triumph. You have worked in partnership with the earth, and the earth has fulfilled its promise. You have taken the raw materials of sunlight, water, and soil, and, through your labor and your faith, you have transformed them into life. As you look out from the rooftop of your pueblo at the end of a long day of harvesting, you see the fields, now bare and brown, and you see the village, alive with color, with the bounty of the earth. You have gathered in the harvest. You have gathered in your survival for another year, and you feel a sense of peace, of security, of deep and abiding gratitude that is as real and as nourishing as the corn itself. The harvest is in. The rooftops of the pueblo are a glorious, multicolored sea of corn. But the work is far from over. A successful harvest is useless if the food cannot be preserved to last through the long, cold winter and into the next spring. The weeks following the harvest are dedicated to the great, essential, and incredibly laborious task of preservation. This is, once again, a communal effort, with specific tasks falling to men, women, and children. The first and most important task is drying the corn. The ears are laid out on the rooftops, under the warm, dry autumn sun. They must be turned regularly to ensure they dry evenly. This is often the job of the children and the elders. All day long, you will see them moving slowly across the rooftops, turning the thousands of ears of corn, their movements a kind of slow, patient dance. At night, or if there is a threat of rain, the corn must be gathered up and taken inside, to be brought out again the next morning. It is a constant, vigilant process. Once the corn is completely dry, the kernels hard as stone, the next stage begins. The entire village will gather for a great shucking bee. Families will sit together on the plazas, under the autumn sun, pulling the dry husks from the ears of corn. It is a social occasion, a time for storytelling, for gossip, for courtship. The air is filled with the dry, rustling sound of the husks and the murmur of 100 conversations. The dried husks are not discarded. They will be used for weaving mats, for starting fires, for wrapping food. The shucked corn is then stored. Some of it will be stored on the cob, in the cool, dark storerooms deep within the pueblo. But most of it must be shelled, the kernels removed from the cob. This is another long, tedious task, often done by scraping the cobs against a rough stone. The beans also must be processed. The dried vines are gathered and threshed-beaten with sticks to break open the pods and release the beans. The beans are then winnowed, a process of tossing them into the air from a flat basket, allowing the wind to carry away the light, empty chaff, while the heavier beans fall back into the basket. The squash is cut into long, thin strips. These strips are hung on wooden racks in the sun, where they will dry into a hard, leathery vegetable jerky that will last for months. A significant portion of the dried corn must be ground into flour. This is the daily, grinding work of the women. They will spend hours every day kneeling before their metates, grinding the hard kernels into a fine powder. It is a task that is never truly finished. All of this preserved food the shelled corn, the dried beans, the squash jerkias, then carefully stored in the clan storerooms. It is placed in large, sealed pottery jars to protect it from moisture, from insects, and from rodents. The work is endless, and it is vital. You are not just processing food. You are building a fortress against the hunger of winter. You are quantifying your survival. Every jar of corn you seal, every sack of beans you store away, is another day, another week, another month that your family will not starve. The work of preservation is the quiet, uncelebrated, and absolutely essential back-end of the agricultural year. It lacks the sacred drama of the planting and the joyful release of the harvest. It is a slow, methodical, and often boring process, but it is the work that truly ensures your survival. As you seal the final jar of corn and place it in the cool, dark storeroom, you feel a sense of profound security. The winter can come now. The snow can fall. You have done the work. You have prepared. You are ready, and the whispers of the hunger moon feel, for now, a world away. You are a people of the corn. Your lives are rooted in the soil, your calendar dictated by the rhythms of agriculture. But you have not forgotten the old ways. You have not forgotten that you are also a part of the world of the animals. And so, in the autumn, when the harvest is in and the air is crisp and cool, the men of the clan prepare for the hunt. The hunt is not a sport. It is not a contest of man against beast. It is a sacred and necessary act. The meat from the hunt will provide a vital source of protein and fat to supplement your diet of corn, beans, and squash. The hides will be tanned to make clothing, moccasins, and robes. The bones and sinew will be used to make tools. Nothing will be wasted. Your primary prey is the mule deer, a large, wary, and incredibly agile creature of the canyons and mesas. Hunting it requires immense skill, patience, and a deep spiritual connection to the world of the animal. The hunt begins not with a weapon, but with a prayer. You and the other hunters gather in the kiva. You smoke a ceremonial pipe. You pray to the spirit of the deer. You do not ask for a successful hunt. You ask the deer for its permission. You ask it to offer its life to you, so that your people may live. You promise, in return, to treat its body with respect, to use every part of it, and to honor its spirit. You then prepare your weapons. You do not have rifles. You have the bow and arrow, or perhaps the atlatl, an ancient and incredibly powerful spear-throwing device. Your arrowheads are made of razor-sharp obsidian or chert. Your bow is made of strong, flexible wood. Its string the sinew of a deer from a previous hunt. You are a master of stealth and tracking. You can read the story of the land in a set of hoof prints, a broken twig, a pile of droppings. You know how to walk silently, how to use the wind and the terrain to mask your scent and your presence. You might hunt alone or in a small group. You will be gone for days, traveling deep into the rugged backcountry. You move through the landscape not as a conqueror, but as a supplicant. You are a part of this world, not its master. You find the trail of a large buck. You follow it for hours, for days. It is a slow, patient, and meditative process. You are not just following an animal. You are entering its world, learning its habits, its rhythms. When you finally get close, your heart begins to pound. But you must remain calm. You must control your breathing, your movements. A single, careless sound, a sudden movement, and the deer will be gone, a brown phantom vanishing into the juniper and pinyon. You knock an arrow to your bowstring. You draw it back slowly, smoothly. Your muscles are tense, but your mind is clear. You take aim. You release. The arrow flies, silent and true. It strikes the deer in the heart. The animal leaps, runs a short distance, and then falls. You approach the fallen deer with reverence. You kneel beside it. You offer another prayer, a prayer of thanks to its spirit for the gift of its life. The work of butchering the deer is done with a skill and efficiency born of long practice. You use your stone knife to skin the animal, to quarter the meat. Every part is saved. The hide is carefully folded. The meat is wrapped and packed. The organs are set aside. Even the stomach contents might be examined to see what the deer has been eating, a valuable piece of information about the state of the land. The journey back to the pueblo is a hard one, your back burdened with the heavy weight of the meat and the hide. But it is a joyful burden. When you return to the village, you are greeted as a hero. The meat is shared among the entire clan, according to the ancient rules of distribution. There is a feast. The meat is roasted over an open fire, and its rich, savory smell fills the plaza. The hunt is a reaffirmation of your connection to the wild, to the world beyond your cornfields. It is a reminder that you are not just a farmer, but a hunter, a predator, a part of the great, complex, and often bloody web of life. It is a sacred act that has sustained your people for thousands of years, a prayer of blood and breath that binds you to the earth and to the spirits of the animals who share it with you. The storerooms are full. The meat from the hunt is drying. The days are growing shorter, the air colder. A sense of security, of completion, settles over the pueblo. The long year of labor is over. Now it is time to celebrate. It is time to give thanks. The harvest ceremony is the most important and joyful event of the year. It is a multi-day festival of feasting, of dancing, of music, of prayer. It is a time when the entire community comes together to celebrate its survival and to honor the spirits who have made it possible. The plaza of the pueblo is the center of the celebration. A great fire is built in the center, its flames leaping high into the crisp autumn night sky. The smell of roasting corn and venison fills the air. The feasting is on a scale that is unimaginable during the lean months of winter and spring. there is an abundance of food. Great pottery bowls are filled with thick stews of corn, beans, squash, and deer meat. There are piles of freshly baked cornbread. There are sweet, roasted squash and dishes made from wild nuts and berries. You eat until you are full, until your belly is tight and your heart is content. It is a celebration of the simple, profound joy of having enough. And then the dancing begins. The sound of the drums echoes through the canyon. It is a deep, resonant, and powerful heartbeat, the rhythm of the earth itself. The sound of the flutes, made from cedar or bone, is a high, sweet, and mournful melody. The sound of the wind, the sound of the rattles, made from gourds filled with pebbles, is the sound of rain. The dancers emerge from the kivas. They are the men of the different ceremonial societies, and they are transformed. They are wearing the elaborate masks and the sacred regalia of the Kachina spirits. They are no longer just men. They are living gods, physical embodiments of the spirits who control the rain, the crops, the animals. They dance in the plaza, their movements powerful, rhythmic, and deeply symbolic. They dance the story of the year. They dance the planting, the growing, the harvest. They dance the rain. They dance the sun. They dance the prayers of the people. The dancing can go on for hours, for days. It is an act of endurance, of devotion, of ecstatic celebration. The entire village watches, captivated. The rhythm of the drums enters your body. You feel a sense of collective joy, of a shared spiritual experience that transcends your individual self. You are part of something ancient, something powerful, something sacred. The harvest ceremony is more than just a party. It is a vital and necessary act of cultural and spiritual renewal. It is a reaffirmation of your worldview. It reminds you that your survival is not just a matter of hard work, but of maintaining the correct, reciprocal relationship with the spiritual world. You have done your part. You have planted, you have tended, you have harvested, and the spirits have done theirs. They have provided the sun, the rain, the fertility of the earth. The harvest dance is your collective expression of thanks. As you stand in the firelit plaza, the sound of the drums vibrating in your chest, the sight of the masked gods dancing before you, you feel a profound sense of peace and belonging. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are a part of a community, a part of a tradition, a part of a cosmos, that is, for this brief, sacred moment, in perfect harmony. The long, hard year is over. You have survived, and that is the greatest reason of all to dance. And so, the great, slow, and sacred wheel of the year turns. Winter gives way to spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn. The life we have walked through, for a short time, is one of deep and profound connection. A connection to the earth, to the sun, to the seasons, a connection to the community, to the clan, to the generations of ancestors whose stories are whispered in the kiva and whose spirits are felt in the rustle of the corn leaves. This was not a life of rugged individualism. It was a life of radical interdependence. Survival was not a personal achievement. It was a communal one. It was a life built on a foundation of shared labor, shared resources, and a shared, sacred worldview. The ancestral Puebloans, the people we have lived among in this story, eventually left these great stone cities in the canyons. In the late 13th century, after a period of intense drought and social upheaval, they migrated away, moving to new homes along the Rio Grande and other areas of the Southwest. Their descendants are the Pueblo peoples of today, the Hopi, the Zuni, the people of Acoma and Taos. They were not a lost civilization. They did not vanish. They endured. They adapted. They continued their journey. But they left behind these magnificent, empty cities, these silent, stone testaments to a different way of being. And when we, in our modern world, look upon them, we are filled with a sense of wonder and of loss. We live in a world of profound disconnection. We are disconnected from the sources of our food, from the rhythms of the seasons, from the communities in which we live. Our lives are governed by the clock, not the cosmos. Our survival is an individual pursuit, not a communal one. The world of the ancestral Puebloans was, in many ways, a harder world than our own. It was a world of hunger, of hardship, of constant back-breaking labor. But it was also a world of deep and abiding meaning. Every act, from the grinding of the corn to the painting of a pot, was infused with a sense of sacred purpose. Every day was a participation in the great cosmic dance of life. Tonight, as you settle into your comfortable bed, in your climate-controlled room, a world away from the sun-baked canyons of the past, think of the people who lived in harmony with that hard and beautiful land. Think of the quiet dignity of their labor, the profound wisdom of their worldview, the deep, resonant beauty of their art. Their world is gone. We cannot return to it. But the echo of their life remains, carried on the desert wind, preserved in the silent, sun-drenched stones of their homes. It is an echo that speaks of a different way of being human, a way that is rooted in community, in reverence, and in a deep and abiding conversation with the earth. And it is an echo that, if we listen closely, might have something to teach us still.